Hi, soul friends. It's Tannaz Hosseinpour, and welcome back to another episode of the Minutes on Growth podcast. Today, we have a lovely guest with us. You are going to really enjoy this episode, I am sure. So, stay tuned till the end. I would like to take a moment and welcome Rachael-Jayne. She's an international keynote speaker, TEDx presenter, three times best-selling author, creator of the Unshakable Presence, and founder of the Awaken School. Welcome.
Thank you, Tanaz. I now know why everyone listens to you because your voice is just so beautiful.
Thank
Do you
you.
get that a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to accept compliments, so yes.
Good, good.
So, Rachel, RJ, let's go by RJ. As a therapist, I know what a game changer it is when people start to feel seen and heard. And so much of your work is centered around that, of helping people navigate the fear of being seen and the fear of judgment that accompanies that. So, if you're open to it, I would love to dive deeper into this. But first, if you can just tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey.
Well, it actually starts with that issue because that was central to the issue that I had around putting myself out there and being confident and sharing my work and actually attracting a wonderful masculine partner into my life. Like all of that wasn't working because I had a strong push away of wanting to be seen. I didn't feel safe to be seen in some way. I mean, I wouldn't have put it like that back then, but it was this. I do secretly want to be seen, of course. A feminine woman, and I've got work that I want to do in the world. But every time I'd move toward it, the subconscious brakes would go on. Like it's
Mhm.
not safe to have attention on me. And I'm Australian, so I think that's made worse there because of the tall poppy syndrome, which is
Mhm.
don't brag, don't shine, be modest. And so that was a big part of my growing up. Like if you ever excel at something, you better make sure everybody thinks you're super humble about it. And I also think that, I've had negative reactions. I've had situations where it wasn't safe to be
Mhm.
seen. So my work actually came out of that for myself and the struggle that I had really in every single area. And the biggest transformation that I went through was healing that resistance to having attention on me. Because once that shifted, I was like, I feel completely safe in my body, nervous system regulated, all of that nothing started, well, nothing really triggered me anymore because much of what happens when we get triggered is because of somebody else and their certain attention on us. So, we can dive into what changed and the work, but that's really, what happened. Before this work, I was a singer full time. I performed to 40,000 people my last gig before moving to US. So I understood performance, but not really the vulnerability and presence of true being in the moment with attention on me and receiving that support. And I don't know if many of your listeners are resonating with this, but I know for women particularly, it can be a really big deal.
Mm. I love that. You talk about performance versus embodiment. And I think you just touched on that because if you're on a stage with 40,000 people and you're performing, we start to think, well, isn't that being seen? How can a fear be there? Can you help us discern between the
Yeah.
two, please?
Yeah. I mean, certain things are about skill development, right? If you're really, really good at something, or
Mhm.
you're really, really good at talking about a topic like you are, it's going to be okay for people to see you because you're in your strength, all of that. So I was in my strength as a singer because I knew I could hit all the notes and I knew I was good. And so there's a different thing happening when I'm in my skill versus I'm just there, being fully real and present with maybe this amazing man that we're on the third date or this client who's a potential and I'm just starting my business. Like that's a whole different realm
Yeah.
because it's new, it puts you in a vulnerable position. So that's part of it. But also the other part is really looking at, and I love like dialing in to this with people of when are they really in performer consciousness, right?
Hmm.
They're trying too hard. They're putting something on. I got to fake it till I make it.
Hmm.
And when are they in self-consciousness, shrinking? Oh my gosh, how am I being seen? And those two things are not presence. They're not presence, full presence that lights you up when you're in the room with someone that present. That's different. So we look into how can I become more self-aware when I slightly go into performer consciousness, which I was when I was doing the singing. And when am I going slightly or a lot into self-consciousness, which was happening almost in every other area of my life,
Hmm.
and find a place where I am present, not only mentally, but I am present emotionally for you and to myself. And I'm present in my body. I'm present to my feminine essence.
Hmm.
I'm present to my sexuality. I'm present to every energy center while doing difficult things. That's kind of where it's evolved to. Is it's one thing to be unshakably present on the yoga mat with the
Hmm.
candle going on in the background and the nice music. But it is another thing to do extremely difficult things, which is what we're drawn to, right? We want to get better at things and be that unshakably present. And so I took that on as my own work. How
Hmm.
can I do that when I'm speaking to a big group, which was super shocking to me in the beginning? How can I do that when I'm in conflict with my husband?
Hmm.
How can I do that when I'm meeting someone who could be a huge opportunity for me? And all the things, because that's usually when we come out and we go into performer consciousness or self-consciousness, trying too hard or, oh, how am I being seen? Oh, am I looking the right way instead of present?
Is that why you think, when someone walks in a room and before they even speak, and you talk a lot about this, before they even speak, you can feel them. Is it because they're operating from that space of presence?
Absolutely. Absolutely. When I was first starting to become a coach and a facilitator of transformation, I was in the group that wasn't making much income, impact. I wanted to make a difference. Nothing was happening. There's lots of people in that. And I was around a few people who were making a huge impact and huge income. And I was like, what's going on? And I realized that that small group had a lot of presence or a lot of it factor, a
Hmm.
lot of star quality. They all had different personalities,
Hmm.
as you know, like they can all look and sound different, but they had that it quality. And I was lucky enough to be in the room watching. I was like, they had that thing. And I didn't when I was in the speaking and the coaching and the business. I could do it if I was singing, but I could not do it if I was put under pressure in my own business. And so I was throwing spaghetti at the wall trying to do all these things to build the business. And I realized that presence precedes all of that. So I do think that we pick that up very quickly and it draws people to them. And now understanding the physical, energetic, mental dynamics to make anyone the most magnetic and compelling person in the room, because that's my work now. They come to our retreat center in Colorado and I get them up on stage and I can take the mousiest person ever and make them the most magnetic within seconds that I can now do that. And it's still kind of shocking to me when I feel like I'm having a bad day. Like just the other day, I went to a networking group, which is not quite of my thing because I'm an introvert. And I was just sitting there. I felt not quite well on my stomach. I was really tired and I was sitting there. And all I said was, I just want to practice my own work. I'll sit here, I'll just be present. And I didn't say anything. And I had two people come up to me after. They didn't know who I was. And they said, I just need to tell you, I just couldn't stop looking at you. You were like the most present person I've seen in ages. And I'm thinking internally, well, I feel like crap. I am not feeling that well. And like, how on earth could they be thinking that? I look terrible. And I was like, oh, because I'm practicing my own work
Hmm.
and it's an energetic signal, right? Unshakable presence is a signal, and everyone's sending a signal, as you know,
Yeah.
right? The nervous system is sending a signal, their energy field is sending a signal. and their life is mirroring it. And so, yeah, it's not really how you look. It's the signal that people are picking up and they completely respond to it differently. I mean, people respond to me so differently than they used to a few years ago. Like it's just astronomically different. And again, that's important if you're, a woman who's wanting to attract the love of your life. How are people responding to you? How is the masculine responding to you? They weren't responding to me very well before I did this work. I was like, why am I still single? What's going on here? And then if you're a business owner, if you're a speaker, or if you're a mother, like it's all about how people are responding to you in the way that you want or not, that feels really comfortable to you, that feels really safe to
Hmm.
you. It feels like you're not putting any energy out. Like it's just happening. Because that's the other thing people do. I know you see this in your work. They're giving too much. They're
Yes.
on the they're throwing their energy out too much, or they're drained by the end of the day. And this work is not about that. It is about reclaiming that life force. And so when I talk to, I'm very lucky to be in lots of peer groups with people who are multi-million dollar founders and entrepreneurs and big things. Almost all of them have been burnt out once or twice in their career.
Hmm.
I've never been burnt out because of this particular work, because it stops that continuous leaking of the energy in order to help this person, help that person, and be there for this person. And so, if anyone's listening and feeling very tired by the end of the day, or you feel like, oh, this is too much, or I've got to be on, air quotes, I've got to be on. I don't want to always be on. I don't feel like I'm ever on anymore, where I used to feel like I've got to be on. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it sounds like safe containment. Um, so it's contained, there's no draining, there's no overgiving, but it's a safe embodiment of that container. That's what I was picking up as you were
I
sharing.
love that. Do you use the word containment a lot in your work?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a big word for us because people don't realize that magnetism, or what you were saying about people getting drawn to you, they don't realize it comes from the wattage of your energy field getting brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter and more powerfully peaceful, right? Not calm and peaceful only, but it's through that containment. If you think of a light bulb, it's the wattage in it that makes it, the light's not having to jump out of and light the room up everywhere. It's just that brightness, and that comes from containment.
Mm-hmm.
And most humans are not contained. And then put them in front of people and go, oh, perform or do this or do that. They're like so not contained
Yeah.
in different ways. Some people diffuse, some people shrink,
Mm-hmm.
some people throw their energy. It's another part of this work, helping people work out, are they a shrinker, a non-container, a diffuser? Most of them do not know what it is they do. So I can point that out, give them the antidote that massively brings back their life force and their presence. They see that on stage too. When I say I bring people up on stage, I don't mean like just speakers, but it's helpful to put someone under pressure. Go, okay, here's a group, here's the audience at Casa Sagrada, and let's do it. And they can hold that where they would never have been able to hold presence when that many eyeballs were on them.
Wow.
And then if they can do it then, they can do it in other places.
Right. So they start to mirror that skill in the outside world, but they first practice it with you, which is like a safe person for them and that safe space.
Yeah.
Mm.
And we do it in a group because I am a safe space, but I want to put them in a situation that's slightly uncomfortable,
Hmm.
which is being seen by a group, and see if we can hold it immediately then too. So all of my work is based on the witnessing principle of, yes, you can train your body or train your energy field to do a certain thing or meditate in a certain way, but even our meditations are witnessed.
Yeah.
People witness you because can you stay in even with that? Most people are just pulling out all the time. And so the witnessing not only has that stability of I'm present, even if someone's watching me, um, they then they get feedback or appreciation of what this person's seeing. Because most people never are told what their presence is sending.
Mm,
Like you've probably been told that your presence is extremely calming.
mhm,
You have a beauty that is magnetic. It's filling your room. You're so beautiful. You're so soulful. And you are way more mature than your age. You probably heard these things, no? But most people haven't.
mm,
They're not told how their presence affects someone. I wasn't told. I was only judged. We have that when we're younger, and so we shrink down. So when someone's in the practice, then they're witnessed, and then they're appreciated for what their presence is when they're not trying to do anything.
mm,
For me, I always felt I had to be smiling, I had to be on, I had to be shining. Otherwise, you're going to think I'm boring or I have what they call that resting bitch face. Excuse my language. You know, that like I would be scared of them thinking, oh, she's too serious. And I realized that when I'm actually present, I kept hearing the same words. You look the I tell you, I've heard this like 100 times, Tannaz. You look like a combination of this innocent young girl and this wise sage together.
I see that.
And I'm like, how am I hearing this from 100 people in different countries? But I would never have known that. And now I can walk into a new room, which usually would have got me all a bit nervous because I don't know anyone and I'm an introvert. Now I can walk in knowing if I just stay home, they're going to see me as this playful, innocent young girl and this very wise sage and this mix. And they're going
Mm,
to see me at other things too, because I've heard other things. That gives me so much confidence walking into a room where I don't know a soul. That's what I want to give people is the knowing of the signal you send when you're in the unshakable presence. So you don't have to question it ever, ever, ever again and go into either performance consciousness or self-consciousness.
mm. That's so empowering.
It's a huge gift.
It's a huge gift. It's so empowering. And as you were talking about witnessing, how witnessing allows us to heal our relationship with visibility,
Mm,
you said a word, and I just got goosebumps. You said stay home. You
yes.
said allows me to stay home. So that internal home, can you talk a little bit
Yes.
about this? What
Yes.
did you mean by that?
Absolutely. So, just to give everyone some context of the Unshakable Presence work, they're based on 5 primary star codes that unlock unshakable presence. Because
Hmm.
the answer is never in one place, right? So the 5 codes are the centering code, which is about centering yourself in the home of your body and your energy field
Hmm.
and protecting that. So it's containment, it's all of those things, embodying a peaceful power and being home in that. The second is a receptivity code, which is how can you sustain high levels of receptivity,
Hmm.
right? Being in the receptive state, which massively increases your ability to go through a spiritual awakening experience of unshakable inner peace that sticks. The third code is the expression code. How am I expressing my brilliance, you know, that's through my voice, because I teach voice, through the way my energy contacts space,
Hmm.
through my physical presence and how I walk, etc. Style, like it's all
Hmm.
the communication. Liberation code, which is unwinding tension and resistance in your energy field. So that stops the triggers, it stops the shadows, it restores lightness and levity that's true, not just going around what's painful and keeping a big smile on your face, like really light. And then the origin code is the fifth, and that's your original source, your original higher personality, the original gifts, the unique genius that you bring. So all of those things are a part of you being the most magnetic, compelling, peaceful, powerful person. But you're pointing to that first one of the centering code being home.
Mhm.
And I can just show you right now, and you'll be able to hear it in my voice if you can't see us. And if you can see us on YouTube, you'll be able to see it as well. But if I jump out of my body into what I call my head bubble, which is I'm going to hover above my head and be in thinking mode, I'm going to start sounding like this. So, hi, Tannaz. I'm so grateful that I am here with you today on your podcast. I've been listening to some of your episodes as well. And I just really would love to share with people the work of Unshakable Presence and how blah, 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 blah. Right? You notice the signal goes wonky. It's hard to have it land. Now I come home into what I think of as my vertical core, my central channel, where all my energy centers, my nervous system
Mhm.
is lined up. And I'm particularly focused in the lower dantian place, my pelvic center, hara. Now, again, when I'm on the yoga mat or I'm meditating, it's easy for me to be there.
Mhm.
But when I've got 100 eyeballs on me, not so much. Now, I can have many thousands of eyeballs on me, and I'm just as home as I am in meditation. But that's a learnt skill. So I think of home primarily as anchoring in your body and anchoring in the vertical core of your energy field. Now that I'm there, what do you notice? I'm
Mhm.
talking. How do you respond to me different to Naz when I'm home versus I'm in my head bubble saying the things I'm supposed to be saying?
It feels more grounded. I feel more grounded in when you're in that home state. So I
Yes.
notice a sense of ease in my body as well.
Yes, because whoever is in the leadership position is entraining the other person
Hmm.
to their energy. So if I'm in head bubble, I'm going to entrain everybody else in that household or that team or that meeting to be in head bubble. And I do this practice almost the first thing when I get people in person because they often people, well, let's be honest, my people have been on a personal and spiritual development path for a long time. This is not their first rodeo as far as, getting into self-help or whatever. And often they think they're very present until I do that exercise of where's that head bubble, where's that home.
Hmm.
And they realize in the entrainment that as soon as that person speaking is in there, this other person follows because we've given them the leadership position. And when someone is in head bubble, not only are they feeling a little scattered, because that's what I could feel you when I started going up here, I was losing you. You were
Hmm.
kind of like, nothing was landing. You were like trying to catch what I was saying. And what we also notice is trust goes way down.
Hmm.
If I'm in head bubble or out of my body, I'm not trusting you necessarily. I'm definitely not remembering you. I'm not remembering what you're saying. And I don't feel a connection with you. As soon as I come home, and I've done this, we've had 15,000 people go through this training. So many different cultures, many different countries. The same thing happens if I'm home. People say, I trust you immediately. I feel like I've known you for a long time. I remembering what you said like for days on end. And I'm saying the same thing as I said before I did this work, really. It's the home piece that is landing it for people. So it may seem like a small thing, and it's definitely important when you're doing the work that you do around nervous system and feeling safe. But it is really important if anyone listening is trying to land a better job or do better at interviews or be more real or build a business or you want to start speaking or do a podcast. Like this is the secret sauce
Mm.
for that kind of work as well. It's the inner stability and the outer magnetism, both.
So empowering. And I'm also sensing, like, if I were to hear this material, I might think, wow, it requires a lot of willingness to take accountability for your experience of reality
Sure does.
because I'm playing such a big part in how my environment is responding to me. It's a lot
Absolutely.
of it's a lot of
Absolutely.
accountability.
And we would, I mean, the thing that I've heard, there's two things I've heard the most when people come to a training is, why didn't someone tell me this when I was younger?
Hmm.
I've never heard this before. And I get that because when I stumbled upon it 20 years ago now, trying to figure it out myself, why people weren't responding to me the way that I wanted. And the other thing is they say, this is the missing link because they've done a lot of things. And it's because people did not learn how their energy field sends a signal. I
Right.
mean, when did you learn it? You know,
Yeah.
it's just, and most people then intuitively understand that that must be right because we can walk down the street and have someone who we don't know walk along the other and go, they're in a bad mood. I mean, we can feel it
Hmm.
doing that without really anything on the face. But most people don't know how to change someone. If they come up, they might be diffusing. They're a lovely person. Now all the attention is going, they start speaking, and they kind of put everyone to sleep in the room. They don't know how to change it. And I'm the person that comes along and goes, dunk, 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 do this with your energy field now. And all of a sudden, they're getting standing ovations in the next time they open their mouth for 30 seconds. Why are they going from slightly putting people to sleep to a standing ovation in 30 seconds? Because that signal is pulling us in. We are locked in to that person. They are what I call stilling the room.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that's what we respond to, is how they make us feel, not what they're saying.
Mm.
And I've just so feel so blessed to be able to point things out that are super easy to change that most people unfortunately will go through their whole life never having it pointed out to them. And they'll wonder why on earth are people still doing XYZ to me?
Right. Right. Well, I'm so glad those 15,000 people had you to point it out. It's a ripple effect, right? It's
Yes,
when they gain these insights and they have these shifts, they start to shift the environment
yes,
around them. So it's
yes.
much more than 15,000 that you've impacted. So thank you for the work. I was watching one of your videos and it really, really resonated. It was like a 40-minute long video on YouTube where you were workshopping a realtor who struggled with saying no. And the reason I want to bring it up is because, as women, in general, we struggle with people pleasing. And again, it's that overgiving, saying yes, and thinking that is going to be the way that we get our way or the way that we feel
Right.
safe or the way that, we feel accepted. I'd love for you to talk a little bit about that if you're open to it.
Yeah, I mean, a big part of it is upbringing, personality type,
Hmm.
right? I use the Enneagram a lot in my work of just understanding what the fixation of the psychology is. And so there's lots to it.
Hmm.
But to say no when you really want to say, can I think about that? It's like most of the time it's probably the answer you really want to say is I'd like to think about that versus yes or no. Um, that's happening for different reasons, but let's think about it in the energy field
Yeah.
or the centering code, for example, of one of the five things is you're coming out of your body because now you're in strategy mode. What should I say to get what I need?
Right.
Oh, I need to keep the peace. So I'm going to say yes. Or I need to not have this person angry at me. So I'm going to say yes instead of no. And so primarily it's coming because you're leaving your body. When you train to never leave your body and never leave your containment of your energy field, it's very hard to say yes.
Hmm.
when you want to say no, or I'd like to think about this. And that's what was happening with Pam, because I
Hmm.
know which one you were talking to. Um, is she would diffuse her energy. She's trying to keep the peace. She leaves her body. And so all of a sudden, before she even knows it, she's saying, sure. And it's very connected to what I want. So when you say yes too easily, it's telling me that you actually don't know or feel what it is you want.
Mm.
And so many women have forgotten in the moment what they want. It's very actually hard. It's not like a weakness. It's actually hard to go, oh, what is it that I want? I was just talking to a client this morning, and it wasn't a coaching session, but it kind of turned into one. And she said, I've got this lunch that I'm going to, and it's going to be a hard conversation because someone treated her not very well. And she was telling me about it. I said, I can agree with you. That was not being treated very well, like it was something that was obvious. And I said,
Mhm.
so what do you want? And she was going to see this person at lunch. I said, what do you want? What do you truly want for this lunch gathering with this woman? And in that moment, I could feel her take the breath that she hadn't taken. And she was like, I don't even know what I want. I'm so, I don't even ask myself that question. What do I want? She
Mhm.
was going more into like, how do I gloss over and make sure the relationship stays intact? And I'm like, no, no, no. So one of the practices in the other codes is really being so receptive, you know what you want and how to then communicate that, right? Which seems very elementary, but most 50-year-old, 60-year-old, 70-year-old people don't know how to do it
Right. Mm.
without fear arising,
Right.
or
Of course. Mm. So
so that's a
going
big
back to
part
the
of the work.
basics.
And
Hmm.
yeah, and I think it's really important too, because everybody does have a different personality and different energy field, different way of being, that you can look at these five codes and get a sense of which one is your strength and which one is the weakest link,
Right.
right? And that can help. There's a free assessment on my website. I'm sure everyone can find my website, but that would be a good place to start, because you can just do a quick assessment and go, okay, the centering part that we're talking about today is pretty strong. The receptivity part is really weak. The expression part is really strong. And then you can go into some of the practices that I've got for free on YouTube or wherever, and focus on that weakest link, because most people focus on what's already strong, right? Like people who are really good at being in their body, which I feel you are, because that's your work, you've trained at. People will go, oh, I'm feeling a little, out of sorts. I'm just going to breathe. I'm just going to calm myself down. I'm just going to be back in my body. And I'm like, no, 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 no. That's already what your strength is.
Right.
The challenge is to say to someone else, no,
Mm.
in that amount of presence versus try to keep calming the system down. So everyone's different. And that assessment might help kind of get you more a sense of what it is. But we usually hug what we're already strong in. Yeah.
Right. That's so insightful. First of all, I'm gonna do it myself, and then I'm gonna put in the show notes so everyone can go do the assessment. I'm really curious now. So thank you for bringing that up. And just
Oh,
in continuation of that, what wounds do you see most commonly causing disconnection from presence in women?
yeah. I'll give you nine of them that
Oh, wow.
that
Let's do this.
follow along with the Enneagram, if anyone knows that or not, it's around. But the nine that take you out of presence and receptivity to the moment, because
Okay.
presence is can be synonymous with I am receptive to the moment. I'm
Hmm.
receptive to you and to me and to this moment. There is nothing else happening here
Hmm.
than that. And most people can't be receptive enough to be in the moment, right?
True.
So one is keeping the peace.
Mm,
I got to keep the peace. And it seems like you're present, but no, 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 you're doing something in order to keep the peace. Second one could be judging. There is a right way and a wrong way to be in this moment. And so I've got to be appropriate.
mm,
I can't be present with you, Tanaz, if I'm thinking, how do I be appropriate in this podcast?
mhm,
I need to be with you to be in the flow of an incredible conversation. Next one could be overgiving. I'm
mhm,
trying to give in order to get something. Another one is I'm overdoing. I am in action all the time, and so I am not emotionally available. So I might be doing something for you in the moment, but I'm not actually emotionally available to you in the moment. Next one is I am in drama. I am in some story about what's happened. And I am totally being present with you, Tanaz, but I just have to tell you this one out. No, I'm not being present with you. I'm in my drama.
mhm,
I'm in the story. Another one is retreat. I actually retreat up to my head. Another one is I project on you. Are you safe? Are you safe? Can I trust you?
mhm,
Distance. Another one is keep making everything positive, reframing everything into like, oh, isn't this wonderful? But when I'm around people like that, I'm always like, I get that things are wonderful, but why do I feel some anxiety under the surface with that tight smile?
mhm,
And the last one is not allowing your weakness and vulnerability to be there in the moment. We all have all of them, but everyone has one that is on overdrive and takes a lifetime to unlock. And
mhm,
when that unlocks, mine was the drama. Mine was the overly emotional. When that unlocks, true equanimity and inner peace is there in the most incredible way. That's part of my story we haven't had a chance to go into yet around the unshakable inner peace, but the inner reality of myself after this work is so astronomically different, so quiet, so still, without having to be in one of these mechanisms.
mhm. When you were sharing all nine, every one of them resonated to one version of me at some point in my
Yes, of
life.
course.
And I was like, wow, like 15-year-old, 20-year-old, 25-year-old, 30-year-old, one of these were exactly as you said at the forefront of my experience of reality and how mm, freeing it is to know what they are, to gain awareness of it, and to be able
Yes,
to say, this is running the show without blame, without shame. And
yes.
what can I do about it?
Yeah. And then training the body and the energy system and the way you express yourself to just be home and
Hmm.
don't go to that fixation because that fixation is just an attention pull. Oh,
Hmm.
I need to give. I need to keep the peace. I need to retreat versus everything stabilizes
Hmm.
in this earth suit and nothing is getting pulled.
Mm.
It's a massive awakening when that occurs.
It
And
really.
that's the work, that's liberation, that's true liberation, that's true freedom, that
Hmm.
nothing is ever pulling me. And for those of you that don't know me, I mean, I'm running two businesses, I'm got, other things going on, I've got family in Australia, my dad's not doing like there's plenty of things going on. But nothing pulls me anymore,
Mm.
which is still surprising for me to even say that because it was not my experience most of my life.
And thank you for mentioning that because oftentimes people think if there are challenges, if there are external stressors in my life, then I'm doing something wrong. And perhaps the power or the insight lies in our response to those challenges and those
Yes,
external stressors. And that's where the magic is.
that's right. That's why I love the why-free diet,
Hmm.
right? The why-free diet is stop asking, why am I creating this? Why is this happening in my life? What am I doing I was like, why? I was listening to too much Law of Attraction back in the day. Why am I doing? And it's like, no, this is happening as part of the divine matrix. It's part
Yeah.
of the universal moving. And is this good or is this bad? I don't know. Almost everything that I judged was bad ended up being the most biggest gift. So just like I just stopped
Amen.
judging or figuring out why I created it because I'm everything. I'm everyone. Everyone is creating and I'm part of that. And I don't need to be contemplating my navel on overdrive with why. And so when went on that diet, it was another big release of tension to just be like, what's my response? Am I present? Am I judging this? Can I be in non-resistance to this? You know,
Mm,
training my mind to be in non-resistance, training my heart to be in non-resistance, and training my gut center to stop controlling people and controlling my life. Whether that's controlling them to try to get them to peace or controlling them to be, happy and not sad or whatever it is. Just to be, just to be, just to
mm,
be.
mm.
True freedom.
It really is. And, it's something I work primarily with couples. And one of the things I always say is you are 100% charge if you're 50%, right? So you are
I
100%.
love that.
And if we all take that, and if we all kind of exactly as you said, regardless of the why, it is happening. So
Yeah.
accepting that and responding in a way that's in alignment with home, with that presence that you're talking about, that's the best that I can do.
Yes.
Mm.
And then you start in training your partner
Hmm.
to be in a different energy, whether they want to or not, they're going to come to a more present place. Because whoever has the highest vibration or highest resonance with love is going to entrain the other. It's
100%.
not, it's never the other way.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I've had plenty of evenings where I'm like, if only my husband would be happier and not then everything. No. I
Mm.
get to entrain this living room right now.
Mm. I love that. I love that. So empowering. Everything you're sharing is really putting us back in the driver's seat of our experience of
Yes.
reality and allowing us to be the main character of our experience. So
Yes.
thank you so much for that. I feel there's so much more I wanted to dive into today, but for the sake of time, I even mentioned this before we press record. I'm like, I don't think we can finish this in one episode.
Yes. No.
So much of your wisdom and insights that I'm sure the audience is just really basking in right now. I'd like us to end with one question. And I don't know if it's a fair question to ask, but I'm curious what is one practice that changed your life the most and helped you become the most magnetic, if you can pinpoint one?
I think for sure. I think that's a great question because um, there's a lot that I teach, and people can make it too complicated when they're learning things. And
Hmm.
so I call the practice the still point, and it is finding the still point in the center of your pelvic space.
Hmm.
Some might call it hara, lower dantian, womb space. Do you have a name for that point in the center of your pelvic bowl?
No, but I'm going to take inspiration
You-
from your
Yeah.
name.
Yeah, so I call it still point because when you are embodied in that point,
Hmm.
your mind goes still. And your emotion, if it's, to activate it, goes still. And it's the same point that will make you the most magnetic if you're walking into a room or all that. Most women, actually, I think men too, they feel like the heart is what makes them magnetic. And
Mm-hmm.
it is, right? It's nice to have your heart light on, but usually the heart is not where your safety comes from. It's the pelvic center is where your safety comes from
Mm-hmm.
and being there. So I would say find that point through closing your eyes, dropping your attention down, and until your mind goes silent, until you've got that, you haven't found it. It's usually a little further down and back
Mm-hmm.
than you might expect. Then you can be in front of a mirror, open your eyes, and what you're going to see behind your eyes in that mirror is a different you. You are going to be able to see to the true essential you.
Mm. So I know what I'm doing tonight.
Yes. And anyone else, I have a free masterclass each month. Anyone wants to go through all the 5 codes. There's just so many resources that we have that are free that people can just jump right into if this is capturing your attention some way, whether it's about relationships or your own spiritual awakening, the mind being able to just be quiet for a few moments of the day, or you're in a place like Tannaz and me where we have to present and we have to speak and we have to hold your attention for long periods of time, and you're wanting to be better at that. Any of those things, I think you get a lot out of Unshakable Presence work.
I was going to ask you, RJ, where can people find you, connect with you? I'll put all of them in the show notes, but just tell us a little bit about how to connect with you, whether it's your retreats or master classes, or if you do one-on-ones even.
Yeah, everything's at rachael-jayne.com. And I got a weird spelling with a hyphen, so you'll see that. The free masterclass, the Unshakable score, get your Unshakable score with your 5 codes. And we have Spiritual and Successful. It's our 3-day event that we have at our own retreat center in Colorado. So I'd love to have any of you come out to Spiritual and Successful one of those days. I'm going to be inviting Tannaz as my guest if she ever wants to come out for sure. And because there is something powerful about being in the room.
Mhm.
But there's lots of things that are online too at rachael-jayne.com.
Amazing. Thank you so much again. I'll put all of that in the show notes. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us, for not gatekeeping, for being open and present with us. It's been such a pleasure learning from you and being in your presence.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here too.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. Speak soon.